Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Board of Commissioners meeting for September 29th, 2025 for the town of Waxhaw. Don't sit down just yet. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance and a moment of thanks and praise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Thank you very much, everyone. Any amendments or adjustments to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. The agenda is now adopted. Next up, general public comments. Looks like we have a grand total of 1 this evening. Mr. Eric Kelly, come on down.
Thanks very much. My name is Eric Kelly. I'm a retired U.S. Air Force officer, a retired Union County Public Schools educator, and senior Air Force Junior ROTC instructor. And currently, I'm the commander of American Legion Dean Haywood Post 208 here in Waxhaw. And finally, I am a Waxhaw resident. I just wanted to make everyone aware of a couple of events coming up in October for our American Legion post. First is pancake breakfasts are back. After a summer break, we'll be resuming pancake breakfast on first or second Saturday morning, beginning on October 4th, for the low price of $8 for an adult plate, $5 for a child plate, so please support our local veterans for that. The main reason I'm here, though, is to talk about an event that you have flyers for in front of you. And first of all, most of you may recall an event that we had. It was a Be the One walk through downtown Waxhaw about a year ago, actually in October of last year. And the purpose of that is just to raise awareness of the problem of veteran suicide and make folks aware also of solutions for prevention of veteran suicide. Instead of a walk through downtown Waxhaw, we're going to have a cornhole tournament and raise funds. The net proceeds of that will go to the National American Legion organization for Be the One. But what you need to know is the date is Saturday, October 18th. Please mark your calendars from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Cost is $15 player entry fee, $10 non-player donation is requested, which includes hot dog, drinks, and chips. Okay, so we'll begin by talking about the problem of veteran suicide and giving a short presentation in the building about that. We'll explain the cornhole rules, and then we'll go play some cornhole. And so all I'm asking right now is please mark your calendars and spread the word about this very worthwhile event for our community. And we'll get it posted on social media here in the next few weeks. All right? Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. All righty. That concludes tonight's general public comments.
Mr. Mayor, we did receive an email with some public comments. Would it be appropriate to read it out, or should the clerk read it out? Or
either or. I think, Barbie, I think it's okay if the commissioner reads it, or is that something, Brandi?
I don't have the email, so if you could.
Okay. Thank you, Brandi.
No problem. Okay, so it looks like Martin Turner sent in a comment. It says, "My wife and I are visiting family, so I want to be able to attend tonight's meeting. I've either attended or watched all recent meetings, and it is very clear that the anti-wall folks are not listening to the citizens of this town. I have to ask myself why that is. If they aren't listening to us, then who are they listening to and why? Everyone who has spoken out in favor of the apartment complex or other residential growth, for that matter, has had something to gain directly from that growth. Everyone else I've heard speak on the matter is opposed because of the continued residential growth will erode our quality of life. So what's their payday? What is it, bribes? Is it favors? Do they have Swiss bank accounts or crypto wallets? My wife and I purchased our first Waxhaw address in 1994. Waxhaw had a population of 1,900 people. We were living in Charlotte, and when we would drive out this way, at some point, people would begin to wave at us as we drove by. People on the side of the road, people in cars, they would just wave. That became our deciding point. When we get far enough out that people start to wave, we'll consider a house. So here we are, 31 years later, nobody waves. Nobody has waved for many years now. Although I do see the occasional New York state bird, I know growth is unavoidable. But I can't imagine what kind of warped mind actually cheers it on. Do they even know what they're destroying? We now have over 23,000 people, according to ChatGPT, which is quoting census numbers. I miss my town, I miss the quiet, I miss the waves. I know you can't stop the growth, but I'm asking the whole council, please don't encourage it. To me, it's like inviting a cancer into our town, an unwanted, aggressive, choking, violating cancer. If you or the Waxhaw Wall can somehow use my emotionally pleading message, please feel free.
Thank you.
May I ask if that email was sent directly to the town, or is that an email that was received by Commissioner Dawn?
I received it. I don't know who else received it.
Okay, I didn't receive it, so that email, if it would be sent directly to the clerk or someone so that it can be distributed to all members on this board, I would appreciate that.
Certainly. Anything else? General public comments? Alrighty. Next up would be the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alrighty. Next up, we have recognitions. Miss Emily Leonard. I believe we have someone who's been here a couple of years.
Good evening. Emily Learned, HR Director. Tonight, I would like to recognize Rosie Dodd on her 5 years of service with the town. Today, September 9th, is her actual 5-year anniversary, so this recognition is right on time. Before we present Rosie with her plaque, I would like to take a look at her time here in Waxhaw. She began as our staff accountant on September 9th, 2020. And then in 2022 became our interim finance director, and then later in 2022 became our permanent finance director. Before she came to Waxhaw, she worked with various organizations, including Thomson Reuters, Union County, and City of Concord. Rosie holds many certifications and licenses, including a SHRM certification, that's a human resources certification, her notary license, and she's attended many local government finance classes at the UNC School of Government. One huge accomplishment for Rosie here at Waxhaw, among many, is that she won the Department Head of the Year Award for the year 2024. So with that, Rosie, thank you for all you do. Happy 5 years, and we look forward to many more years with you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'd like to say a few words.
I will just say, for the most part, I really love the staff in the town, and I enjoy coming here. Every day is a challenge, and it's just a growth experience, but thank you so much.
Congratulations, Rosie. Happy 5 years.
She said for the most part.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alrighty, next up, we have Police Chief Dex Wilson.
Good evening. Tonight we're here to recognize Detective Alex Ng for 10 years of service. Detective Ng retired from the New York Police Department 12 years ago?
15 years ago. No.
Anyway, when he retired from NYPD,
2014.
Yeah, there you go. He thought he was going to retire and fish local ponds, lakes, and make that his job. I think between his wife and his boredom, he decided otherwise and came to the Waxhaw Police Department. And we appreciated it ever since. The last 10 years have been amazing. So he worked patrol for a while until we recognized that Alex had a special gift of being a detective, especially doing child sex crimes and all the stuff I didn't want to do at the time. Alex was spectacular at. He took it very seriously and still takes his job very seriously to this day. He also did field force, and he currently is a hostage negotiator for a special response team, and he's still in investigations. So thank you so much for your 10 years, and we appreciate it, and he'll be here for at least 10 more.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I didn't see a leadership report tonight, Chief, but I don't want it to go unnoticed, the excellent work you guys did this last week with our little bank heist, or pseudo bank heist, apparently. So I just want to recognize the police department for that work. And
Thank you so much. The officers did an amazing job, and the perimeter setting up, all the going from business to business, finding the video, and actually finding good video of the suspect and able to track him down was amazing. So everybody on the scene that day they did an excellent job, and
exactly.
We appreciate it.
I was surprised to see the incident, but I was not surprised to see the result. So thanks again.
Sir.
All righty. Next up, Mr. James Kelly.
Well, good evening. This piece is just a little bit more informational. So as a part of ongoing questions about traffic updates around town, we get several questions from the community. So we're deciding to move forward with this, what we're calling the On the Road series, which is an update. The main purpose is just to update the community on upcoming road and safety projects in Waxhaw in a clear and engaging way, while also simultaneously, I'm working with Bradley over in our communications department to develop a web page to display the information on the town website to help keep the community informed. So that way, there's one central page that folks can go to. Hey, this is what's going on with this project. This is what's going on with that project. So there's a lot of projects going on throughout town, so we're going to split this up into a multiple-part series. Tonight, we're just going to cover the transportation project process at a very, very high level, and then move into talking about other projects. Number one, the Providence Road NC-16 widening project, which is likely the most commonly asked question or most commonly asked project about status, updates, and that sort of thing. And then move into a bunch of other projects that are tied to this upcoming Waxhaw-Marvin Bridge replacement that NCDOT is working on. And we'll be talking about the Kensington Drive widening project, the Pine Oak Prescott Glen roundabout, which is right around the corner, along with the Pine Oak Waxhaw-Marvin signal, and of course the Millbridge traffic signal. And then next time, feel free to, at the end of this, ask any requests that you want to see, any project-specific updates, as well as looking ahead. So first off, we'll just start from a very, very high level from the transportation project process. Folks ask us all the time, why does it take so long to develop these projects? Or what is the reasoning for why these projects take so long to come to fruition? Well, with all these transportation projects, especially working with the state, the federal folks sometimes, each step in the process just takes several years, sometimes can take decades. So at a very, very high level, we've broken it down to 5 main steps within the transportation project process. First is the planning stage, which this is before you're identifying your transportation needs from a safety, congestion, growth, connectivity standpoint, as well as collecting a lot of data. So this is where all the data comes in, looking at data, traffic counts, crash histories, land use, community input, as well as evaluating several alternatives and potential impacts with each project. And really, this planning stage is more of your long-range planning. And these are on your long-range planning documents, such as the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, CTP, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, your master transportation plans, that sort of thing. And then we move into, once you're done with the planning stage and actually get the projects programmed, this is where you start to prioritize those projects based upon need, funding, and feasibility. So this is where things start to get a little bit more real in the transportation process. So this is where projects get included on the official programs like the TIP, the STIP, the State Transportation Improvement Program, the CIP, Capital Improvement Program that we have here locally. And, we start to identify the funding sources for these projects from a state, local, and federal level. And then really start to dive into defining the overall project scope, schedule, and budget. So between planning and programming, a lot of this may be a decade, especially for your larger scale transportation projects. Moving into the design phase, this is where the preliminary engineering starts to happen. So this is where you get a lot of your conceptual layouts, your environmental studies. Public involvement becomes a little bit more elevated in this section, and then also a lot of your other stakeholder engagement. And then finally, you move towards engineering detailed plans, taking into account everything that's included, such as utilities, stormwater, traffic control, et cetera. And then moving into refining those cost estimates. Now, the fourth stage is the right-of-way stage, and this is where you start to identify properties that could be potentially impacted by the project, move toward appraisals, negotiations with property owners, relocation assistance if needed, especially for your larger transportation scale projects, and then acquisition of land easements before you move into construction. So these first four processes all happen kind of behind the scenes for the most part. Now, yes, you'll have your public involvement, and that's a sort of thing along the way, but a lot of the times, the community just doesn't see this part of the process. So this is really what takes all this time. For your larger scale processes, between each of these, it could be, like I said before, a decade. For more of your locally scaled projects, it could be about 2 to 3 years between the processes. What people see, though, is the construction. So this is what people actually see, and this is where we start to advertise, award contracts to qualified contractors. We work towards construction management, actually inspection along the work, implement traffic control, safety measures, and then move towards an ultimate project completion and then ongoing maintenance, depending upon the municipality or agency associated for the road maintenance. So when people ask me all the time, what's the reason for why these projects take so long? It's because there's a lot of planning. Then you have to move towards programming, design, right-of-way acquisition, and then ultimately to construction. And folks see the end piece and don't necessarily see all this other steps along the way.
One little tip, or
Sure.
not tip, but question on that, and I guess this is an assumption that I've had, is all 5 of these phases, they don't occur in parallel at all.
That's
They're
true.
very sequential, are they not?
That is accurate, yeah.
So they're completing one before they do the other.
That's correct. And you have to complete the first phase before you can move on to the second phase. No, great question. So that brings us to the most commonly asked project is the NC-16 widening project. You've heard this story over and over and over before. I'll just emphasize the point that, this is an NCDOT project. This is a state project. This is not town administered. And as we all know, the scope is to widen NC-16 to multi-lanes between Ray Road and Waxhaw Parkway. Backing up just so you can kind of see the timeline of the development of this project was originally programmed in prioritization cycle P4.0. So when we talk about the overall planning phase, a lot of the planning occurred before 2015, and the programming phase actually happened in 2015. Then you're starting to move towards the design, a lot of public involvement, some hiccups along the way, which we're all familiar with. And then now we're finally at the stage where DOT is saying, okay, the right-of-way phase is expected to start next year. So this is when they start to acquire property, negotiate appraisals, relocation assistance if needed. And then right now, DOT has a construction timeline start of 2030, and they're anticipating completion by 2033. That's what they currently say right now. Just from experience, a more realistic date is likely 2035 because you run into utility relocation hiccups along the way. Sometimes right-of-way doesn't go as planned. Sometimes construction doesn't go as planned. So you run into a lot of these hiccups. So I'll just note that, on a large-scale transportation project like the NC-16 widening, that's approximately 20 years to complete from the original project programming timeline. And this is not unusual for larger-scale transportation projects. This is actually quite common. Moving into more of the locally scaled projects, like the Kensington Drive widening project, which is located there off of Kensington Drive, west of NC-16. This is a town-administered project. So again, a little bit of a larger scale project, but not as large scale as NC-16, for example. So we're adding turn lanes, access control measures, and pedestrian improvements to really help to improve western to eastern mobility in this area. And as you can see, the initial project award dates back to 2015, and thankfully we don't have a 20-year timeline with this to actually get to construction. But it did take about 9 years to get to construction. And that involves everything along the way from the initial project award up to preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction, which is where we currently are. And we're working with Union Power and other utility agencies to move those utilities outside of where the construction work is actually going to be into the utility easements, and then move towards with the actual construction starting early next year. Questions on this one? Good. All right, so something that's happening right around the corner here is the Pine Oak Road and Prescott Glen Parkway roundabout. So this is a developer-led project as part of their required traffic mitigations through their TIA, their traffic impact analysis. And really what this project is bringing is a road realignment and roundabout just east of that bridge along Pine Oak Road and west of Buckeye Court there to tie in Pine Oak to Prescott Glen. Now, why is this important? Because a lot of folks traveling along Pine Oak Road, they turn left out on 16, which is, as we know, is a dangerous turning movement, especially in rush hour. So with this realignment, it'll help folks get from Pine Oak up to Prescott Glen Parkway, which is where there's an existing traffic signal. It's going to be a lot safer for folks to make that left turning movement. So right now, tentatively, the closure is expected to start September 26th. So, and it's going on track right now to be completed, at least for a phase one opening, by that mid-late November with a December 1st tentative time frame right now. And I'll add a caveat with each of these projects is the moment I start to speak schedule, the moment we release information on schedule, it just magically somehow just changes. It's just part of the process. Prime example of that, we released the schedule. We said, hey, they're going to start September 17th. And then, we ran into a hiccup with some of the signs and that sort of thing, where the developer ran into some hiccups with some of the signs. So we had to push it back to September 26th. I swear it's just one of those things with transportation projects. As soon as you release the information, it changes. So right now, that's our tentative timeline. We are going to have a phase one opening, which is where folks can get back onto Pine Oak Road, and then a full phase two opening mid-December. So obviously, one of the key questions that folks will ask us is, what was the reason of why this couldn't be done when school was out of session? That's the number one question that we're going to get on this. And the answer to that is, well, we did have a plan. We did originally schedule this to be completed by now and have it go through summertime to be constructed. We ran into some delay while Union County completed some of the necessary permits. It's just part of the natural construction process. So that's why we are delayed, and we're going to just bear with us and have some patience as we move through this. So diving through the more of the scope, if I zoom into where that red circle is on that figure, this is kind of what it's going to look like, where you'll be able to realign Pine Oak Road and tie over to Prescott Glen Parkway, so that way you can get up to that traffic signal there at Prescott Glen Parkway and 16. Any questions on this one?
It says phase one opening mid-late November. What is phase one?
So phase one is, you see that top leg, we'll say, so there's 3 legs of this roundabout. That top leg up there, let's see if I can get this thing. Yep, that top leg there. So for phase one, they're only proposing to open up this bottom leg connection to Pine Oak. So that way you can still make the movement to Pine Oak safely. Phase two, the reason why is because they still have to complete some necessary road work along Prescott Glen Parkway. as Lowe's Foods continues to be built out. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap between the full opening and the partial opening. So folks will still be able to travel locally once we have the Phase 1 opening, not too long, about a month or so from now. But Phase 2 will come a little bit later at 2 months, and then you'll have that full opening at that point in time. Does that answer your question? Perfect. So moving on in the same general area, so moving down the road, Pine Oak Road and Waxhaw Marvin Road. So this is a town partnership with development mitigations with the Prescott Village and Bellshire Cottage Park developments to really help to acquire the necessary project funding. So at the initial stage of this, there was a lot of talk with DOT since these are 2 DOT roads. The project funding was just not where we needed to be. So we needed to come up with some financial differences to really bring this project to fruition, and that was included as a part of some of the mitigations, the traffic mitigations with the Prescott Village and the Cottage Park development. So we're really partnering with those 2 folks to bring this project to fruition. And really this project is just going to realign the intersection, add some turn lanes, and signalize the intersection too. I'll just skip right to the exhibit. So here's kind of what you can see right now. Right now, existing today, as you all know, the intersection is at a very, very odd grade, or very odd grade and angle. So that angle is resulting in left turning movement conflicts, which unfortunately are one of the most dangerous turning movements from a traffic perspective. Especially when you combine high speeds, uncontrolled intersections, you have fatalities, which there is a recorded fatality on record for this particular location. So we are going to be adding some left turn lanes, signalizing that intersection and realigning it to a more of a perpendicular angle to help mitigate for those things. Current schedule is right now we're nearing the completion of the right-of-way phase. We still have 2 more properties that we're working to negotiate, but once we close those up, we'll be moving towards actual construction spring of next year, tentatively right now. Questions on this one? All right. So moving right along. And while we're talking about traffic signals, we're also looking at the Millbridge Parkway and Kensington Drive traffic signals. So this is great for all the Millbridge folks out there, as well as for folks traveling to and from South Carolina. South Carolina, if you continue driving west to Kensington, that's where the border is if you keep on going down. So a lot of those folks coming in from South Carolina are conflicting with the turning movements there at the Millbridge location, which we've seen, again, those left turn movement conflicts. Luckily, no fatalities in this case, but there are a couple serious injury crashes at this location. So to fix that, similar type of concept, signalize the intersection, improve pedestrians' usage, and add advanced warning beacons and devices. So what I mean by that is with this proposed concept, we're going to fully signalize the intersection. We're going to add crosswalks, pedestrian push buttons, the whole 9 yards. And then we're also going to add the advanced push beacon, or advanced push beacons for the pedestrians, as well as a advanced monitor for vehicles coming from South Carolina or from Waxhaw that, when the signal is about to turn red, it'll notify drivers in advance. So that way they have sufficient time, sufficient notice to slow down and come to a stop. Also, Commissioner Dahl, I recall you adding the one piece. We have not forgotten about that, so we will also be adding the no right turn on red there at the Millbridge entrance because there's that crest or curve there in the roadway. That creates a sight distance issue, so we'll make sure that we have that.
Yeah, I was looking at the diagram. I wasn't sure if it was on there or not, but thank you.
Yes, of course. Anticipated timeline right now, we're finalizing some easements and some maintenance agreements. And so we're doing that right now as part of the right-of-way phase. Anticipated construction is also spring 2026. Questions on this one?
The crosswalk lights you're going to put on there?
Yeah.
I noticed our crosswalk lights, we have the flashing pole lights, but we don't have anything in the road itself. Is that something we've considered, and would that add a great deal of cost? What would that look like?
I don't think it would add that great deal of a cost. I know right now we're proposing the standard pedestrian push button. We could definitely explore it. We could definitely explore the option. Yeah. Yeah,
they're definitely, I think, a little more helpful, and they make it a lot more obvious as well, because sometimes those poles are off to the side, your eyes are in front, kind of on the road. Having that blinking on the pavement can draw the eye.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. So all of these projects, minus the NC-16, the reason why we brought up the NC-16 project was because that's the most commonly asked. But all these other projects that we've been talking through this evening all have some relation to this upcoming Waxhaw Marvin Bridge Replacement Project. So I'll note that this bridge replacement project is not a town-administered project. This is a NCDOT project that is proposing to basically reconstruct the bridge right there at Waxhaw Marvin, just south of the town hall here. So that will take a lot of time when they close down the road, and folks will, it's going to be a large detour, significant detour to them. So Waxhaw is really being proactive by implementing these projects in advance of that closure, because these projects not only will help to improve safety, but they'll also help folks get around a lot easier, especially during this upcoming project. So NCDOT's current schedule is for a summer 2027 construction timeline. So we're planning to have all of these projects, Kennington Drive, Pine Oak, Prescott Glen, Pine Oak and Waxhaw Marvin, and the Millbridge Parkway traffic signal done in advance of this project, because this is what it looks like for the detour. And as we all know, folks are not going to go from Millbridge all the way downtown just to go back north on 16. They're going to cut through the Millbridge neighborhood right there where we're proposing the traffic signal at Millbridge and Kingston Parkway. We know that there's going to be a lot of new traffic demand there, at least temporarily during these few months that DOT is working on this project. As well as we also realize that folks are not going to go all the way south to downtown, right? They're going to cut up Pine Oak Road, and they're going to want to go up 16 that way too. Or they're going to want to cut up Kensington Drive as well. So all these projects help to alleviate and mitigate some of those impacts. And then once this bridge replacement project is done, everything remains. So it's going to be great to have these projects online ahead of that project. Questions on this bridge replacement project while I have it up?
How long is construction anticipated on that one?
It's DOT, so it could vary. Typically, I've worked a few bridge replacement jobs with DOT before, and they can vary between 3 to 5 months on average. Sometimes quicker, sometimes longer. Just depends upon if they run into any weather hiccups or any things that they missed on the survey, that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's going to definitely be a significant impact, which is why we want all these projects online ahead of that one. So next time, and if you're paying attention, all my Willie Nelson fans out there, we're going to be on the road again. And next time, we're going to talk about several other projects, including the upcoming Union County Downtown Waxhaw Waterline project. We have to get some more details on that as far as when they're anticipating an actual start of that project. It is soon, and by soon, I mean within the next 1 to 2 months. So we'll be talking more about that project. We'll also be talking about the Bonds Grove Church Road traffic signal. So a lot of folks, they talk about that intersection all the time. Well, why can't we just add a traffic signal in a left turn lane? Well, that's exactly what that project is. And then moving on to the roundabout proposed near the Circle K on 75 and Old Providence Road, as well as the Broome Street improvement projects that we're administering, the upcoming Helms Road grade separation project with NCDOT and CSX Railroad, as well as the Helms Road extension project that we were awarded. So I'll leave it open for discussion. Are there any other special requests or questions that you have as we continue the series?
I'm sure as we go through this series, there will be more and more that pop up, but one that's front of mind for me personally and many others is the upcoming roundabout at Waxhaw Marvin and Bonds Grove Church.
Ah, yes, yeah. That's a great topic. Let's talk about it next time. How about
Certainly.
that? And I know that project is on the books with Village of Marvin, I believe, is that one. So we can definitely talk about that, give some highlights as far as schedule and that sort of thing.
Perfect.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Great presentation. I think that's very helpful for the general public and definitely helpful for myself and the rest of the board to see these and get updates on them on a regular basis.
You are most welcome.
These are very, very, very common questions we all get, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Exactly. All righty, no public hearings. Looks like, yep. Next up is old business. Ms. Ashley Noel, Downtown Master Plan. We have just a discussion point tonight. I don't think you plan on going through the whole thing all over again, or?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have IT pull up the slideshow. So I'm Ashley Knoll. I'm the Business Development Director for the town of Waxhaw. I just wanted to give some history on the Downtown Master Plan and just talk about our process up to this point. So about 3 years ago, as our Downtown Waxhaw Association Board had just formed, we actually got to do a strategic planning session with the North Carolina Main Street group with the Department of Commerce. And through that session, we set our vision and mission for downtown, for the Downtown Waxhaw Association, and really talked through our projects over the next few years. And as we had those discussions with that group of volunteers, it really came out that we needed to do a downtown master plan so that we could look ahead for downtown. At the time, 3 years ago, we still had 0% vacancy in downtown. We had a growing list of businesses that wanted to be in the district. And we really thought we need to look ahead. We need to have a long-term vision for how downtown grows and how downtown is preserved. So we really started this process 2 years ago. This is really exciting to finally have a plan that is coming to fruition and almost complete. So we worked about a year ago to hire a consulting team. We found the Boudreaux Group and Irene here and her team. And we were just really excited to bring them on board because of their experience not only in Main Street communities, but in small town communities. Our Downtown Waxhaw Association board knew that prioritizing the small town charm in Waxhaw is really important to the community, but that small town charm is what makes Waxhaw unique. And it's what makes us different from other communities around the Charlotte area. So I'll introduce Irene and let her kick it off with this plan. Like I said, this is a 5 to 10 year kind of vision, goals, and really roadmap for us moving forward. So Irene, I'll let you go next.
Perfect.
You'll just press that button.
Okay. Excellent. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So this is wonderful to be back with y'all again. Again, Irene Dumas Tyson, and this is just a summary, really, of where we are. First of all, I want to thank y'all for this opportunity because it's been a real joy for our team to come together and to spend time in Waxhaw and to listen to the community and to put together this plan for you. And then also thank you for the feedback that we've gotten since we were here a month ago, right? A month ago, yeah, to present the master plan. So we got some great feedback from the community, and what we have given, what you now have a copy of, is the final master plan for your consideration with this. So just a few slides here. Just to remind you that we really had three main charges that we were given to do this master plan. One was to find where to put new businesses in downtown. And the market research, being very conservatively looking at where the retail leakage was in your primary markets and also in your secondary trade areas, you know, basically taking that 10% of the primary, 1% of the secondary, you know, you can easily 331,000 square feet of new retail commercial space could easily be very profitable here in downtown Waxhaw. And again, this is all focused on downtown Waxhaw. So we were charged with really looking, okay, where could that go? And then also what's going to be needed to support the new businesses that are down here. And this also diversifies the tax base too, with downtown Waxhaw being such an amazing draw for the entire North Carolina, South Carolina region here. And then to really look at how we can best connect people, not only to get people from other parts of the town into downtown, but then once you're in downtown, how to make that safer, more accessible to more, and just to do some really great placemaking. I think one of the most important things that came out of the master plan, and this came from the community, you know, listening to you, really us doing our analysis of what makes downtown Waxhaw so unique, which is this historic charm. And we felt it was important to establish a set of guiding principles. And these are really there to guide the town and you know, staff and all of you as elected leaders when particular developments or projects or businesses, or, you know, whatever come, when, you know, they are on the table. Are we going to do this? That you can say, okay, this is our standard. Is it going to continue to protect and enhance the small town historic charm of downtown? Is it going to foster that really enjoyable and navigable experience. I mean, we're talking pedestrian ways, we're talking crosswalks, we're even, are there simple things that can be done to make traffic flow easier in downtown? Is parking going to be able to, again, enhance what's happening downtown? And then also talking about those spaces where the whole community can come together. We heard from all ages who really enjoy being downtown. They would like to have more things to do downtown, to linger a little bit longer, indoor activities as well as outdoor spaces there. You already have so many wonderful ones, but how can we even connect the wonderful parks and green spaces, art walks that you have, and to provide more places where people can come together. I'm sure y'all have all heard about third places here. Your first place is your home, your second place is where you work, and your third place is where you come together to be with friends and to really create community. And that's what we heard a lot of, to how can we provide a few more of those places to, we've heard, could we have bowling downtown? Obviously more restaurants, downtown, bookstores, more parks, just expand the skate park. We heard lots of great ideas, and they're reflected in the master plan. And again, just to continue, that downtown is going to be a vibrant destination here, not only just for your residents. You want to do first for your residents, and if you do it right by your residents, others are going to come. But again, by really respecting, enhancing that small town historic feel and making it easy to navigate, you're going to remain that vibrant destination here. That's just really wonderful. And then to grow thoughtfully and equitably with the community at the center. And that is just to make sure that the decisions are made that really, again, underscore that community spirit that you do have here, and that downtown Waxhaw continues to really kind of be that throbbing heart and center of the community. And so what this looks like with the plan, and Mayor, I just want to use your words and what you said, and we put it in the master plan too, that this is an aspirational plan. And it is definitely an aspirational plan, but it's also a very attainable one and incredibly implementable. And we have provided, as part of the master plan, a phased approach to begin to implement, or over the next 10 years, or just kind of begin to plan for some of the other projects. We're looking at short-term projects, medium and long-term, and James, you said it well. Sometimes the most important thing you can do right now is just begin to plan for something, and it may be 5 years from now or 10 years from now or even beyond before it can happen. But with the master plan, we do have those things that can happen immediately, that can have a pretty important impact, but then also looking long-term at what could happen. I do want to say one thing about a master plan, though. It is a living document. It's our hopes that you're going to adopt this and you're going to begin to implement some of these projects. And that's going to be up to y'all as to what you move forward with. As projects are implemented, we always encourage you to come back to the master plan and do some tweaking, because the dynamics are going to be different once you begin to implement some of those. And so you want to tweak that to make sure that this plan is always going to remain relevant and keep y'all on the right path. So you do have, right one. Again, we looked at all the different assets that you have. I'm not going to go into this in detail because we did cover that the last time. But what this really does is, I hope you can tell with this, is really leveraging the wonderful assets that you have in downtown and looking at better ways to connect them, and then looking at those opportunities in downtown and primarily city-owned property where you could begin to do some new development to support some of this additional retail and commercial space that you can support and that we heard that's needed. So, all right.
I did want to touch a little bit on public input that we received since our last meeting. So if you remember, on August 12th, we came and presented, or Irene and her team came and presented the draft plan to the GWA board, the public, as well as elected officials. This was recorded and shared on our website and shared with all of our elected officials. We also hosted public input at Middle James Brewing the following morning on August 13th. Had a good turnout at that as well. well. We prepared an online survey to gather some feedback on the draft that was shared on the downtown website as well. We did receive 22 responses on that online survey. Based on the feedback we got through those input sessions, the Boudreaux team did make some changes to that final master plan. They added a preamble at the beginning that describes what a master plan is. So this is an aspirational plan, that this is something that will guide the changes in downtown over the next year. It's something that we will help measure changes by. They also included existing infrastructure and transportation projects, so that it was clear what is coming to downtown and what is planned over the next 5 to 10 years. And then we included an additional focus on the regulatory framework that was needed to preserve the downtown charm and guide growth. So what sorts of changes might need to be made to the LDC, what sorts of structural and organizational changes will help get this master plan in place. So anything else you want to say about that?
Happy to answer any questions that you may have, but again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Y'all really are the standard bearer for a lot of communities throughout North and South Carolina, and there's a reason for that, and I think it's really wonderful. I should probably step here. I think it's really wonderful that you want to continue to look at ways that you can improve while still maintaining what you have here, and to do it, very intentionally, your growth and the development here. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? This is just another opportunity to kind of speak one-on-one with the Boudreaux group and talk about some of the details within it. So, any questions?
Yeah, so one of the things we heard, I think it was a month or two ago, people were kind of allergic to the idea of a multi-level parking garage. And looking through the master plan that was in the agenda, I saw that almost everybody indicated the importance of architectural character of Waxhaw as being very important. So I think parking solutions need to conform to that desire.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and that's spelled out in there, that any new development would conform to that, to your guidelines, and kind of to build on what Ashley did say too, that you do have some opportunities to even strengthen that, because you already have some new development that's happening in downtown, and so making sure that anything in the future is going to conform to that. So yeah.
In going through the plan, which I'm not 100% done with, there's a lot there. And what citizens have expressed to me is a slight pause on adopting this and getting a little bit more public input, maybe in-house, because they're really allergic to the parking deck in that form. And there were also some concerns about a municipal service district, and that's coming from downtown business owners. Small business owners are concerned that because there's a difference between a building owner and a business owner, right? And they don't necessarily share that. So if the building owner were to decide, building owners, it would have to go to a vote, I think is what I read, and they would decide on a tax, a specialized tax. Well, clearly they're not going to eat that tax. They're going to pass it on to their tenants. And so the concern from business owners that have seen this, and I don't know that they all have, they're concerned they're going to be edged out of the community. And that's a valid concern. And so I would like to see maybe in-house, and you're very busy, I know your schedule, this is your schedule, but maybe in-house we can hold a few more and target what the most concerning aspects of the plan is and add that in. So for the parking deck, for me, when we were originally talking about it, I had envisioned it, and our initial discussions were more of an underground and then, level with the street. And so it would be 2 levels, so it would not be, wrapped in commercial necessarily. And we do need commercial, but is that really a pie in the sky is that so high that it's not attainable? And can we have parking solutions that are more attainable? And I know that in all the other discussions about parking, because that's all we talk about, a lot about parking, there are other maybe street parking that we can find and we can reconfigure to make it more convenient, because in all of, I know Ashley has said it so many times, that it's not that we have a parking problem, we have a problem with people wanting to walk from the parking that we have to where they're going. And so realistically, I always question, are people going to park at that area where we really only see parking there for big festivals and that sort of thing, to go to Mary O'Neill's? And I would probably bet that they wouldn't, that they would like to find closer parking. So, I mean, that, and I told Ashley, there's a veteran Waxhaw resident who stopped, and I was talking to her on the street outside of Maxwell's, and she had a major concern. And this is a resident who is very, very supportive of the progress in Waxhaw and supportive of all the growth, but she has concerns that we're going a little too fast, and I just like to slow down and maybe get a little bit more input.
If you don't mind, one thing, I wholeheartedly respect and understand that. I think one thing to keep in mind, though, on the master plan level, I mean, this is highly conceptual. It's a 10-year roadmap. Adopting this master plan is not saying that you're going to start building a parking deck. And in fact, the framework here puts it as a medium, out several years before you do something, because we do identify that there are short-term ways to do it, looking at existing public right-of-ways, and then even looking at where there might be opportunities to lease parking from others. So that is definitely short-term. These are recommended strategies, and as I said earlier, it's up to you to decide what y'all do with this. And by all means, if and when you move forward with the parking deck, I mean, it may not even be where we've illustrated. That's just one option, because we were test fitting, because we did hear from a lot of people about the need for a parking deck, to go. So that was test fitting, and we did show that it could fit there. There may be other areas in town, again, 5 years from now, there may be a better location for that to happen. So just take these are not gospel truths, but we have in here that the town has to enact all this. And if and when you do a deck, that would have to be some type of public-private partnership, and community input would be critically important to that, for a lot of things, So again, adopting this is just saying that this is a direction we're going to go in. There's so many other things for y'all to, recommendations and strategies to begin implementing before then. So I do agree that any type of public partnership would be very important. But, knowing that property where we are showing a test fit that it would fit there, it being private property, now may not be the best time to have that conversation, more public input, because we're not talking about designing it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I can't go almost anywhere in town without hearing about the parking deck. So I'd like to give people an opportunity to say, hey, this is what I would envision there, and maybe just add it into the plan in addition to what's there.
Okay.
They also had some concerns about the kiosks and that sort of thing. And I think we have 2 digital wayfinders coming from the COVID money, which I feel doesn't really fit historic downtown, and I probably would not have voted to use that money that way. It's a lot of money that we could have probably used on parking. So they're purchased, and I guess the ARPA money was set aside, so that's that. But to add more kiosks, when people have phones, that they could probably just scan a QR code if they really need to find something in downtown Waxhaw. So these are all sore subjects for people that have been here a long time, and I really want to respect and get their opinions if we can.
I think part of the reaction also to the parking deck was that some of the media reporting on it, particularly the headline, made it sound like we had already approved it, And so people didn't understand, and that was why, the mayor weighed in and said, hey, this is aspirational. So.
I think a big thing for folks to understand too, just in general, is that this is more of an a la carte kind of menu. It's not this is what it's going to look like, period, end of discussion, and we're just looking for the highest bidder to build it for us. This is an a la carte kind of thing, and it's one of those things where we can pick and choose which of these is working or not working as we're developing them. It just gives us an idea of maybe what to develop next and what it could look like. So again, it's not an all-inclusive going to happen at one time. It's going to be piecemeal over the course of many, many, many years.
Yeah. And that's, just to go back, just begin to implement parts of this that y'all feel are most important to implement, and then as you do that,
exactly.
Update.
And it will update and evolve. Exactly.
And, yeah. So, yeah.
I did see on some of the feedback slide as well, it said about low cost or free parking. And personally, I think free parking preserves small town charm, because when you're paying for parking, that's when you feel like you're in a city. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and those are all details to work out with that public-private partnership, if and when that day comes, with the deck, so.
Yeah. I feel like because it's such a long-range plan, we can take a little bit of a beat and just listen to those who want to be heard. And they've been here a long time, and I'd like to do that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I was just going to reiterate that, but I think it's also just important that everyone keep in mind and that you continue to remind people that you're talking to, this is not set in stone, and this is not something that we are actually following. There may be bits and pieces that you follow, there may be some things you don't include or do at all, and then you have the opportunity throughout the course of time, depending on the needs of the town, to upgrade it, change it, and go in another direction if needed. So if it's necessary to have a forum, you could even do it here in the chambers and ask people to come in, before a meeting or on a different day, and then, write their comments and let those be known as well, so that you can have that type of interaction with the residents. And then, give them that opportunity to say. So you can post it online, post it on your websites or pages that people may have, and let people know, when the day comes, please come in and make your voices be heard, so that we have an idea of what you would like to see. So.
Yeah. I will say, Waxhaw is one of those communities where it's very obvious to us, and it makes it a joy for us. Your residents care, and that's important, and they show up. So so again, getting more feedback is great, but I think that's been wonderful about this is just the level of input that we've already had into this plan. So
exactly.
So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ashley.
Before we move on, I just want to clarify direction. So it sounds like you guys want some additional public input planned specifically by staff to get info on the parking garage and a municipal service district?
I think it's not just a parking garage or the municipal district, but to be able to interact with the plan itself in any potential questions that they may or may not have with regard to design of things or parking or the service district or more businesses. If they don't want a garage, just interact with them and let them see and hear what is going on in the plan, because there's so much misinformation out there about what we are not doing, what we're planning, not planning. We're building a garage, we're not building a garage. So let them actually hear and see what a master plan is, and let them know that it is just a plan, but it is not set in stone. And these are some of the things that are going on within the plan. What do you think about them?
Those were two specific parts of it. The anything digital seems to be a point of contention because either we're a historic district or not. I know, we want to progress, but I think the downtown area, because we have phones and QR codes, I think it's not that big of a downtown, and we should be able to find our way around, you know. The connection, for me, is there a simpler way to do it? Can we do it without removing trees? You know, in Bard's Park, all these sorts of things. There's a lot of good, a lot of the ordinances that we want to get uniformity, the sidewalks, all of that is necessary, and I think everybody's fine with that. It's these little hot button issues that I really want people to come in and say, you know, what would you rather see here? And
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of points on that note. If there are issues that any of the commissioners do have that they have heard from residents specifically, that they have concerns about, maybe you can let Ashley know so that those points or boards may be up to address some of them, and then highlight some of the other points that might be in this plan that may be of concern as well for a commissioner on this board or, you know, anyone else who's listening, so that you can have something or some form of guideline to go by as to what you're going to be addressing in the forum.
Agreed. All righty.
I feel like that's clear. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Thank you very much. All righty. Next up, Mr. Kelly again.
Hello again. So this item is pertaining to the board's consideration of the approval of the Emerson Park Transportation Mitigation Agreement. So just to give the board an update, this is a part of the process, you know, where we've reached the point where the town has reached the point with the Emerson Park development to formalize the traffic mitigations for their particular site. And then the applicant also additionally requests some added language, which does seem to be beneficial, pertaining to trip neutrality that will advance some of their commercial uses and reduce some of their residential units. So more on that to come. So I apologize in advance if this presentation seems a little bit technical. It's just procedural. So to clarify, you know, here's the full process, and it's available online. That outlines the traffic impact analysis process from beginning to end, and it's very, very simplified. So, you know, we start with a scoping meeting with the applicant to determine, you know, all the intersections that are going to be looked at, what's within the scope, and then we work with Kimley Horn, our consultant, to develop a traffic impact analysis. So what the development is required to mitigate for the trips that they are causing to the system. Again, I'll just note that, you know, this is not to fix existing issues. This is more so, as we said before in past board meetings, this is more so to ensure that the developer mitigates for the direct trips that are caused by their development. And what I mean by a trip is, you know, for example, just to back up for a second, an average single-family home generates about 10 trips on average, and a trip is defined as, you know, from moving from point A to point B. So the same person can make multiple trips throughout a point in time. So for example, they could leave their house, go grab coffee in the morning. That's one trip, house to the coffee shop. Then you go from the coffee shop to work, there's another trip. Work to lunch, there's a third trip. Lunch back to, maybe you have to stop on the gas station on your way back from home, there's a fourth trip, and so on. So a trip is defined as just moving from point A to point B. And on average, a single-family home generates about 10 vehicle trips per day. So we're at the point now within this process, and you know, a lot of the times, or not necessarily a lot of times, but sometimes we get to this process and developers, like, they see all the traffic mitigations that they have to do, and there's some hesitancy from the developer. I will say that that is not the case here, which is a great thing. Working with the Emerson folks, they've been really good to work with, and they're agreeing to all of the traffic mitigation agreements as defined within the TIA. So that's one big difference here, as opposed to working with some other folks. So what is a TMA? So not to be confused with another acronym, the TIA. So TIA stands for Traffic Impact Analysis. TMA stands for Transportation Mitigation Agreement. This is the actual legal contract between a developer and a local government that outlines the required on-site and off-site improvements to a transportation system. This agreement specifies the scope of the improvements, the developer's responsibility and obligations for their costs and implementation to ensure that the trips caused by a particular development are indeed mitigated. So this is what essentially binds the developer to ensuring that these traffic mitigations are implemented. Now, there is one request for this, and it's noted within your agenda packet within the Transportation Mitigation Agreement, is this concept called trip neutrality. And really, the intent here is the developer has realized that, hey, a lot of their commercial, actually all of their commercial, is in phase 3. And they want to advance some of that commercial in phase 1 and phase 2, and in exchange they're going to lower some of those residential units, and even move a large portion of their residential component to a later phase. So the language here, I'm just going to read it to you so you have the full language. So it's understood that the development levels associated with each phase identified within the TIA, or traffic impact analysis, may be amended and allocated to different phases so long as the transfer of the development levels to the respective phase is either generally trip neutral or results in a net reduction in the proposed daily and peak hour trip generation for the phase. You know, it goes on talking about trip neutrality shall be determined based upon methodology consistent with the original TIA, including consideration of internal capture, pass-by trip reductions, and shall be subject to review and approval by the town of Waxhaw, which shall not be unreasonably withheld if applicable, NCDOT. So for example, what that boils down to is, let's say if phase 2 of the property entitlements are decreased by 100 multifamily residential units or apartments, so let's say they decrease 100 apartment units, this is estimated to generate approximately 716 daily trips. They're proposing that commensurate amount of non-residential, so this is commercial use, square footage may be shifted from phase 3 of the property into phase 2 of the property, provided that the total daily and peak hour trip generation from phase 2 of the property remains equal to or less than what was evaluated within the original TIA. And then all relocation requests shall be documented in an updated trip table, a trip memorandum, and submitted for administrative approval prior to implementation. So that was very, very technical. I'm going to try to break that down into an example. And this is just a rough example. So in the original TIA analysis, phase 1 and phase 2 included all of these different types of uses: 109 single-family homes, 217 single-family detached or townhomes, 468 multifamily or apartment units. So that came out to be about 5,700 trips. What they're proposing, which is subject to change a little bit just depending upon the numbers, but what they're proposing is, no, we're going to reduce the residential units in phase 1 and 2, and with our actual proposed units, that only comes out, with our reduced residential units, that comes out to about 2,700 trips. Now, the difference between those is, give or take, 3,000 vehicular trips. So they want to advance some of that commercial use, which, as you can see at the bottom of your screen there, phase 3, which is all your commercial stuff, is 2032. That's 7 years away. They want to advance that to phase 1 and phase 2, as long as it does not go over that trip threshold in that difference. So, for example, this could advance more than 2,400 square feet of general office, medical office. It could advance some of their apparel stores. It could advance some of their, wine tasting rooms. These are just stuff that I pulled directly from the TIA that they've identified as their proposed uses within phase 3. It sounds like this would be advantageous, but want to get your all's perspective on this, answer any questions that you may have. But overall, the summary is the developer is agreeing to all the traffic mitigations, which is great, as outlined within the TMA. Also, the TMA is predominantly procedural in this case, as 0 certificates of occupancy would be issued in advance of the phase mitigations. So those phase mitigations from phase 1, 2, and 3 would still be done, and then no COs would be offered until those mitigations are complete. And then, of course, they have this request for trip neutrality consideration and advancing their commercial phasing. So back to you all. Any questions?
So are they actually reducing the number of residential units and advancing more commercial?
Yes, they are. So you can see, like before, like in phase 1 and phase 2, you see all these units here. They've reduced from the original proposal, and at the end, the catch-all be-all is, when they get to the end of this, like whenever the multifamily or apartments are projected to come, well, they still can't exceed that original TIA trip generation number, right? And if they do, then they have to come back and do a trip generation memo, and there might be additional mitigations that are required because of that. So it's an end-all, be-all, catch-all. It's highly technical, but the math works, and they are reducing the number of residential units overall.
Okay.
So with
Any
that,
other questions?
questions? If not, I am looking for board action on this tonight, and that requested action would be to authorize the town manager to execute this agreement as presented.
Can I get a motion to authorize the town manager to execute the Emerson Park TMA as presented?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, James. Next up, we have a discussion regarding our service contract with Lobbyist Deborah Conrad. It came out during the budget meeting that to save funds into the next fiscal year, or in the next calendar year, we would discontinue the service contract, which expires in December of this year. To carry that forward to the end of the fiscal year, i.e. till June of '26, means we would have to renew the contract sometime in December or the 1st of January. So this is a discussion to determine whether or not the board wants to consider renewing the service contract for one Deborah Conrad. Questions, concerns, thoughts?
Well, in looking at her contribution, I had voted against it at the budget meeting, and I know it's not in the budget now, but her return on investment is huge. I mean, in 2022, she brought in $600,000 for the downtown park. In 2023, it was, $1.5 million for the gray water project in downtown, $2.75 million for the rec barn and other capital expenses, $335,000 for the police Avon contract, which included the body cams, $150,000 for the Cuthbertson crosswalk. And in 2025, she really was an instrumental role in facilitating and connecting staff with Duke Energy leadership, because for months we were having, the outages, and it affected not only our residents, our downtown businesses. It was a real problem. And the staff had been trying to contact Duke, and to no avail. And since she has put us in touch with them, we really haven't heard too much anywhere, and I'm sure we would have if the outages
Most
were what they were.
definitely.
So she's in front of people, she advocates for us, and she is there with the legislature, and she is also giving us all these updates on the bills that are going forward in the various sections of the legislature, these housing bills that would really take all our zoning rights away. So she's letting us know where they are at, and she will also know if they break apart those bills and put them in other sections and other smaller bills. She's there listening all the time, and as much as we would like to advocate for that, and we talk to our local leaders, I know being there 3-4 days a week is really what's going to get the job done.
Yeah, I think it makes sense from a cost-benefit standpoint to keep her on. We already had the budget discussion, but I don't know if this is probably above the discretionary amount. So I don't know.
In order to affect it, if you folks wanted us to go, like we said, we have an active contract at least till the end of December. Two things. We probably have enough to get through a month, but we would need to have a budget amendment that would come back to the board to move those monies. And we've started that discussion, but I would look for direction from the board. If you want that, we'll come back with a budget amendment, and we'll show you where we can do those kinds of things to get you to December. Then I think in November, December, you can have that conversation with her again about another contract if that's what you so choose to do, and then how we would fund that. So,
Well, is there any way to sell those digital kiosks? And use that money for something more
I don't think
useful?
we could sell. I don't think we'd sell the ARPA funds because they are constricted in that way. But we're certainly going to look where we are, and we'll come back with something at the next meeting for you on that. We can get through a month, but I would need to come back for the balance in an amendment.
Instead of installing them, maybe we could make a monument to government waste or something. You know?
What do we need to do now?
I think the board. Yeah, sorry. It would be beneficial for the board to direct me to have a budget amendment to come back to your next meeting to engage the contract.
Thoughts?
I'm just making sure. You're
Alrighty.
still here now, so.
So could I get a motion then to encourage the town manager to pursue a budget amendment to extend Deborah Conrad's contract to June of '26?
A motion to direct, not the town manager to come back, not encourage.
Encourage, direct. I'm trying to be nice about it.
Okay, direct the town manager.
Can I get a motion to direct the town manager to pursue a budget amendment to extend Deborah Conrad's contract through the end of the current fiscal year, June of '26?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carries, and we will go ahead and pursue that budget amendment. Thank you very much. All righty, next up, we have leadership reports. Mr. Town Manager, Scott Dadson, what do you got?
Okay, at your seats are the financial reports for the end of August. I'll also be sending those to you electronically. They're a little hard to read on the paper, a little bit easier to read online. So generally where we are financially is that we have started our fiscal year July 1st. Our expenses are higher than our revenues. The tax bills have gone out. Those will start to come back in November. At that point in time, our cash position will then improve with current funds. We are in good cash position, so the second report you have is the statement of cash position of the city. So just wanted to let you all know that we are monitoring that. We will also hopefully be expecting another $1 million in sales and use tax revenue for the July-August period as well. So staff does a good job of keeping enough cash on hand to float the organization until cash position improves. And when that happens, then we have current cash to deal with. Our investments are going well right now, so I think the finance department's doing a real good job of balancing where those dollars are and that kind of thing. So I wanted to make sure you guys get these reports in a timely fashion monthly. There'll always be a month behind, understandably so. We always close a month out in the middle of the next month. So we want to make these as part of the report. Also want to let you all know that, let's see, our Parks Director, there she is. I'm sure she'll let you know. We are aware and are dealing with the downtown bathroom in the park. Found out the previous contractor had put a nail through one of the pipes. So we are working both with insurance and a cleanup crew to get that rectified and taken care of. But staff knew about it. We let you all know in one of those wonderful Friday texts that you folks got, but I appreciate the staff getting on that.
Are we thinking insurance will cover those repairs at this point, or where do we stand on that?
That's where we're definitely submitting that for that. It will be a bit of a cash crunch, you know, on the recovery of that, but yes, staff is already on that and working on that. But
Great.
The most important thing is get those bathrooms back up in use and cleaned up and taken care of. And then the last thing I have to report on is September 9th is Sandy Koufax's infamous perfect game as a Dodger. And I just wanted to say that out loud. My wife's very favorite dental patient when she was a dental hygienist was Sandy Koufax, and a perfect gentleman and a perfect game. So that's it from me. Mayor, I thought you might appreciate that. I didn't know if you were a Giants fan or not, so I was just giving it a shot.
I was an A's fan, but they're in Vegas now, so what's the point? All righty. Next up, Kevin Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. I want to take a look at our development reports. I have not given one to y'all yet, so I want to take a look at kind of how you were doing them before, give you a little bit of an update, and then kind of tell you what we're thinking moving ahead with these, and then get some ideas from you. I think it's important that we relay the information accurately and consistently what's happening in the city and the town. I think you've seen this in February, this slide. I think it's been used for a few years now. We have updated that number. It was 5. We had 5 homes. I believe back in February, we're up to 97 now as of I think it was September 5th was when the data was pulled. 7,086 homes in Waxhaw. The number of approved units largely remains the same. We have 561 that are in various states of approval right now, waiting to be approved. We've got 453 that are under construction. I didn't realize those came on there. There we go. Okay. Apologies. A little bit of additional residential data. The average residential home size that we pulled from permits for this year was 2,990 square feet, almost 3,000 square feet. Total residential investment in 2025 was $15,581,000 and some change. Of course, our biggest year on permitting has been May. Kind of dropped off a little bit after that. I think we'll be picking up again soon a little bit. Commercial data, a little bit on that. 96,000 square feet were permitted this year. The average size project was 8,000. I would expect a couple of those to be smaller, and then we've got some bigger ones that are some outliers there, but on average, 8,000 square feet per project size. Total commercial investment in 2025, $12,215,000 and some change. So moving on to reporting, we've got several different disparate data sources that we're using right now. We have information from planning. We have some of those, the status on those developments online right now. We also have, we've got building permit data. We've got GIS data. And really what we're considering doing is we're trying to develop a more comprehensive database for development that would combine project-specific data from planning and engineering, and then also permitting data from inspections and GIS, so we can better track these projects from beginning to end. And that'll enable much more detailed reports to y'all. We can show approved, permitted, and completed totals from each quarter and annually, utilizing both permits and COs. Utilizing COs is actually more accurate. It's a completed house and it's tied to that year. So moving forward, we would prefer to utilize that method rather than housing starts with permits. Mix of housing types by quarter and annually. It's one thing I haven't seen in here. We got a whole bunch of units, but we don't have any kind of breakdown on what those are. You know, we've got single-family homes, townhomes, apartments, and you know, and others mixed in there. So I'd like to be able to give you guys that information. Quarterly and annual commercial and residential investment numbers. As we showed there, we can actually pull the dollars on a monthly basis, per project basis, et cetera, and can show you that. Status updates on approved developments. I think not only is it important to kind of show where we're at with those, but also to go back. Are there any that are inactive? I think that's important. We've got a pretty big number there of almost 3,000 units. It's likely that some of those are going to fall off. We'll have to be approved at a later time, or will end up not being developed for a number of years. And so it's important to keep an eye on that as well. and then mapping both developments and individual permits for residential and commercial. That's going to take a little bit longer, but we would actually like to go into a little bit more depth on the GIS with the mapping of those. So what's next? We've started work on that database. We need to go back and do a lot of backfilling with information from previous years for the different developments that we have. What I'd like to do is come back to y'all with a more detailed Q3 development report in the fall, and then on a quarterly basis come back to you with an update on new information every 3 months. Also, add updated data to the new dashboard on the Development Services Town site. We do have a good bit of data on there right now, but we'd actually like to compile that and bring that together onto one page. And then we'd also, it's going to take a little bit longer. As I mentioned, we'd like to map those permits and include them on mega maps, kind of as you as I showed right here. These are not actual development, but we can actually show residential units that are built out, that have been completed, as well as commercial. We can map those and show them on mega maps, and we can actually put a link to that onto that dashboard as well. I think that will help to tell the whole story a little bit better. Is there anything else that we're missing? What are some frequent development questions you get asked that you need us to help you answer? What information would be helpful to you? You can tell me now, or if you want to tell Scott or I later on, we can also work to see what we can put together on that.
Anything? Anyone?
Oh, that was good. Thank you. It might be helpful to have the ratio, residential, commercial, maybe in a pie chart or something like that.
Sure, absolutely. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, tracking that at that same quarterly pace would be great.
Quarterly, and we can show how it's increasing or decreasing on a quarterly or annual basis. Yeah, I think that's good. Track the progress.
Great.
And is there any way, and I don't know if I missed it, of letting us know where the projects are at as far as when they'll be vested? So if Adelina was
Yes.
approved 2 years ago, 3 years ago, at what point are they vested? At what point do they have to reapply if they don't move dirt? But I know there's a lot of mechanisms in there that can start and stop, so won't be set in stone, but just a general idea.
Yeah, we can go back there and give a kind of a guesstimate. If you've had something that's frozen for a few years, hasn't really done anything, we can kind of say where we're at with that. 160D has a number of different timelines that are on there for vestment, and then you've got a certain amount that once you've done, you get extensions with that. But yeah, I think we can go back on there. One of the big things that I'm having to do, and I'm working with staff right now, is to go back through our files and find out when all this stuff was approved. Several of these developments that we've seen that you guys have talked about, I'm not even sure if it was 21, 22, 23 when they first came online. So it's important we get that information down.
Yeah, regarding the vesting periods as well, I mean, the state legislature, I think, has made some changes there. And so, what happens when they make that change? Does that apply retroactively, or like, let's say something was approved before the state made a change, do they still have the same vesting period as at the approval time, or do they now have a new? I don't know if you know that off the top of your head.
But permit choice? Yeah, so typically permit choice kicks in with that, and they get the option to choose which one of the new statutes, and it could be a city ordinance or a state statute, and they get to choose which one in that case.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, great.
All
Thank
right.
you very much, Kevin. I look forward to seeing more of these through the years.
All right.
Next up, Parks and Rec. Tina, come on down.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to give you a heads up on all things Park and Rec. First, I say a thank you to all the participants that came out on last Friday night for skate night. We had a great crowd at the park and lots of smiles and learning new tricks and safety gear, which is, y'all know, is one of my biggest advocates for. A couple things coming up this week. The downtown park is getting some TLC done on the major playground because it's so well loved. So we have a contractor coming out to do some minor work on it tomorrow. Then we have Patriots Day on Thursday, and that is 8 a.m. at the Military Wall of Honor, sharply at 8. And then we'll go through the ceremony, and y'all will hear the church bells throughout that morning as well. The next event is Jammin'. That's a makeup from the summer, and that is September the 26th. Also, I want to give y'all a heads up. Nesbitt Park, it is game time. So all the games are starting up. So parking could be a little more challenging, but we have overflow parking at Kensington Elementary, and I would suggest everyone use that. The staff is going to put out some extra measures to help with where not to park, especially on sidewalks or blocking roads, all that good jazz. So please be aware of that. If you have any questions, you're more than happy to call the department. And then coming up in October is our wonderful Autumn Treasures. We still need volunteers. So if you haven't signed up to volunteer yet, we'd love to have you. And I wanted to give you some stats about Autumn Treasures this year. We had over 300 applications for the event. We are only able to select 150, which is pushing our limits. We have never had that amount at Autumn Treasures. So it's going to be a jam-packed day with barbecue and music. So please come and join us on October the 11th. Any questions that I can help y'all with? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Next up, Miss Ashley Knoll.
Okay, I'll have ITP pull up that presentation real quick. Maybe. It's in the presentation folder for tonight. There you go. Last one. There you go. Okay. So we have been working in the business development department on our overall goals, vision, mission, and values for the department, as well as providing a report to you guys on a regular basis, just better communicating what it is that we have going on in the department on a regular basis. So first, I want to highlight a vision and mission. We worked with a coach that we have on board here at the town to help write these with the staff on our team, as well as our interns that are working on our department. So our vision for the business development department is to guide Waxhaw's economic future by developing partnerships that drive sustainable growth, small business success, and strategic investment, while preserving our historic charm and ensuring that prosperity strengthens the entire community. Then the mission of the department is to serve Waxhaw by providing tools, partnerships, and guidance that help businesses grow, property owners invest wisely, and residents benefit from a healthy economy. We're really excited to start implementing these in the department and really sharing these not only on our website, but when we do presentations out in the community and to you guys as a board. We also wrote some value statements that align with the values that the town of Waxhaw has as well. So integrity and accountability, collaboration and community, innovation and excellence, and then stewardship and visionary leadership. We really believe that these are ingrained in everything that we do here in the Business and Economic Development Department. And then lastly, I just wanted to go through some quick activities that happened this summer, as well as ones that we have coming up. So you guys can read. I'll let you guys read through a lot of the things that we had going on. We, meet with our property owners and our partners on a regular basis. One of the big things that we started this summer are monthly meetings with our Union County Economic Development Department partners. And this is something we do on a monthly basis with them. We choose different locations, different topics, things that are relevant, not only here in Waxhaw, but things that they're seeing trends from a county level too. So I'm really excited about strengthening that partnership with that new department. We also got to host a Union County Chamber networking event here in this room on Scott's day 2. So it was a really great time to meet other business owners throughout the Union County area. And last, we have a lot of activities coming up in September. Lots of dates here. Our monthly meeting with the Economic Development team at Union County is tomorrow. We've got some monthly merchant walks and drop-in hours planned, as well as several trainings and workshops. We have 2 ribbon cuttings coming up, one on September 12th at Hotworks, one on September 26th at Carolina Charcuterie and Catering in downtown. The Waxhaw Business Association meetings, meetings with our promo team and our economic vitality teams downtown, as well as a property owner coffee and another Waxhaw Business Association event. So lots going on, lots of ways to get involved in the community, and lots of ways to really drive more business and more economic growth in Waxhaw. So that's all I got for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Anything from the board?
Yes.
All righty, take it away.
I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Patriots Day, or 9/11. Every year, 9/11 brings back so many emotions. I remember where I was when I first heard the news and how the world seemed to stop. It's hard to put into words the weight of that moment and the days and months that followed. I think of the nearly 3,000 lives lost and the ones that we're still losing today from illness. The families who never got to say goodbye, and the heroes who ran toward danger without hesitation. The courage of first responders and everyday people still leaves me in awe. Even after all these years, 9/11 is a reminder of how fragile life is and how important it is to hold close the people we love. It also reminds me of the strength that we can find in one another when everything else feels broken. So on this day, we remember, we honor, and I hope we never forget.
Thank you. Well said.
I have
Anything
something
else?
to say.
Please.
I, too, was going to speak with regard to 9/11. We were there. I was there, near the World Trade Center buildings when they came down. And I saw them as they were falling. I saw people as they were running. And we were trying to get back to our homes. My husband was there. He called me that day, and he said, "Get out and get the children. I need you to get home." We lost so many lives. We saw so many injuries. It is something that we will never forget. I will never forget. My husband, he was gone for 2 weeks, to the point that my son, the oldest one, he thought his father was gone because he wasn't around. Recently, and I won't say recently, it was just a couple of days ago, we lost a very close friend of ours who had been sick because he developed an illness during 9/11, and he passed. We have a lot of men, women, police department, fire department, emergency service unit members, people who were there who are still sick and suffering, and they are passing away. It is a day we will never forget. I hope that in our hearts and in our minds that we remember the time that if we were there and how we got through it together and how people worked together and came together. And maybe if we remember some of that time, that we as individuals will find that same goodness in our hearts today. So when you come out, please say thank you to our men, women who are still serving us today. Remember those who are still sick and who are suffering. Remember those who have passed away. And remember those people who were workers who didn't come home. In the school where my children went to, we lost 25 men and women. Their parents were gone. Keep them in your hearts. Keep them in your mind. Keep them in your prayers. And let us never forget.
Thank you. Well said. All righty. On that note, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much. Never forget.